Welcome to the very first episode of my brand new podcast, Maybe You Can Relate. If you, like me, are a woman of a certain age, or you are someone who loves and cares for a woman of a certain age, a woman who is trying to create a life that you mostly can be proud of when you go to meet your maker, this podcast is for you. I'm Katie Smith, your guide and host. Like you, I am a woman in the throes of being the main character of my own story, working hard to be the best version of my authentic self each day. What we will explore on this podcast will be deeply personal and sometimes challenging. The topics and themes we discuss will be inspired by the thoughts, feelings, events, dynamics, celebrations, funny parts, values, pressures, and the miraculous nature of my life and yours. Together, we will lean into these matters to build community, to discover connectivity points, to seek a deeper understanding in order to reflect upon and take appropriate action in our own lives as an empowered community of women. In today's first episode, did I say it was the first episode? I'm so excited. I'm bringing us right to the heart of a topic that's critically important to me. Sister friends. That's right. It's your sister from another mister, your homegirl, your soul sister, your sister of choice, the ones who know where all the bodies are buried, the ones who know your ugly cry all too well, the ones who have a front row seat to all of your life's major events, the ones who keep showing up over and over in your pictures, the ones to whom you bare your soul. Today we will chat about these queens and goddesses that occupy prime real estate in our hearts and who you know are some of life's most precious gifts. Let's talk about the benefits of having sister friends. In her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, the incomparable Brené Brown's research led her to a main conclusion that every human has a basic need to belong. Belonging indicates a person finds a place among others where they are wanted, celebrated, valued, and understood. When you belong, you are claimed and attached to something greater than yourself and engaged in a greater purpose. Brené Brown says that this is actually a spiritual practice, and that belonging isn't about altering yourself to be liked, but instead it's the spiritual practice of believing in and belonging to yourself so deeply that you don't betray your own identity for external validation. Wow. There's something particularly special about belonging to a group of women, something uniquely invaluable about your girlfriends, your crew, your girls. Don't you agree that life is more fun? It's more entertaining, thoughtful, and rich with your girlfriends around. You collect memories and build a shared history together. I'm thinking about my girlfriends right now. Are you? These sacred feminine souls walk beside you, creating a deeper meaning for your life, and the rewards are endless. Female friendship psychology is a whole corner of scientific study. Did you know that? I had no idea before researching for this podcast. It centers on deep, emotionally intimate bonds that women form. They're rooted in shared experiences, mutual support, and trust, and are often facilitated by the hormone oxytocin, which you know is the happy hormone. It's what is released that makes us feel good. It's also characterized by verbal intimacy and face-to-face contact. Nobody's surprised about this, right? Because we talk to our girlfriends about everything. That produces a profound connection that fosters empowerment and resilience in the relationship. So let's talk a little bit about the characteristics of female friendships. Depth and intimacy, loyalty and trust, face-to-face interactions, high expectations, intimacy, and vulnerability. Those are the hallmarks of having sister friends. Again, depth and intimacy, loyalty and trust, face-to-face interactions, high expectations, intimacy, and vulnerability. In her article, Five Things Women Crave in Their Female Friendships, Kim Croissant says that those five things are the ability to laugh together, sharing things in common, in-depth conversations, a partner for healthy habits, and mutual support. So let's dig in a little bit. Let's talk about why sister friends are so important and get into a little bit about some of these characteristics and the things we crave in our relationships with our sister friends. Okay, so now that we have identified some characteristics of a healthy sister friendship and we have identified some of the cravings we have in those relationships, let's just chop this up a little bit more and talk about the nature of a sister friendship and how they evolve, some of the challenges that we face while in the relationships, what we celebrate. I was thinking about the challenges I have in my relationships with my sister friends. And the one that came right to the top for me, which in terms of having face-to-face interactions, an ability to laugh together, in-depth conversation, a partner for healthy habits, the things that we kind of laid out, this becomes a challenge for because everyone has a busy life. In my particular case, with the majority of my sister friends, there's a physical distance because in the last years we've moved halfway across the country. There are complex dynamics, especially with the physical distance, and just the evolution of life. Many of my friends are retired or are fixing to retire. And so changes in personal situations, such as like divorce, or when they become empty nesters, or maybe some are empty nesters and others are still having small children. There are generational gaps in my sister friendships. So there's just this ebb and flow, but especially thinking about the ones that I don't live near, there's just this issue that they are always in my heart. I cannot tell you how frequently I think of them or wish I could share something with them. And it's not really my nature to like to do an everyday phone call. One of my sister friends, Michelle, with her bestie, she and her bestie talk like daily. They are always in contact. That's not really my particular style, but there still needs to be a level of intimacy and closeness, but the physical and the busyness really does seem to get in the way somehow. So you're always in my heart, but how would you know? So what behaviors am I doing even from half a country away that would let them know what was going on? Maybe it's a little bit of a like picture or an emoji or things like that. So sometimes I just really struggle with that. So one thing I have been thinking of is what behaviors can I take to make sure that they know that I'm here, I'm with them, I'm thinking of them. I still honor our friendship. I still crave our ability to laugh together. I crave sharing things in common, having in-depth conversations, doing things together, and providing mutual support for one another. I have scheduled, like with my girlfriend Sandy, we have scheduled all those. Sometimes we started strong and then fell off a little bit about scheduling a phone call at least once a month for about an hour. We used to go to dinner together once a month. That was our ritual when I lived close to her. And so sometimes we do well, sometimes we do not, but she's raising kids and I'm raising kids, and it just becomes a lot. So we continue to try our best. I am currently trying to name and then make a regimen out of letting my sister friends know how much they mean to me in real time, some way. Also, let's talk about the evolution and seasons of life and just kind of the nature of our sister friendships. I'm sure you've heard of reason, season, lifetime, that people come into your life either for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. It's always curious to me that in a season, we might think that the relationship is for a lifetime, but the season might be long. I've been reflecting on that recently. But sometimes people are seasonal or reasonal. That's a new word I just made up. and you have to break up. But that doesn't diminish the purpose of the relationship in its season. You have to experience the grief and loss, honor that relationship, and continue to march. I'm thinking right now about a friend I had for a good more than half of my life. And it just became to a point where we were just so different, and it felt I felt resentment building up. I couldn't name anything that we had in common other than being commiserates around things. She was kind of a person that would walk in a room and the air would come out of it because she was really negative. That was hard for me. And so over time, it just was an issue of compatibility and we had to go our separate ways. So, like loyalty and trust was an issue there. And being able to be vulnerable with her became challenging. So, that person I thought was a lifetime person was ultimately a seasonal person, but the season was really long. I used to say, in terms of like how we name our girlfriends too, I used to say the expression best friend or bestie, but I've largely moved away from that expression. I don't think it's fair in my heart to say best because that is indicative of someone being at the very top and someone being at the bottom. For me, that's not accurate in terms of labeling my tribe because it feels limiting. So that's when I came up with this idea of sister friends. These are my sisters of choice, and they each hold a very special that real estate we were talking about earlier in my heart. For instance, I'm thinking about Renee. Renee is my longest in life sister friend. She and I have been friends since kindergarten. We did brownies together. She knows me in a way that no one else does because she has been with me literally the majority of these years I've been on the earth. We used to, drive around and skip school our senior year in high school. We talk about when we were running through the neighborhood, jumping fences and, just making mischief, getting in trouble or hanging out. So she has a very special real estate space in my heart. As we move through the seasons of life, each one of our friends then kind of occupy a different space that is specific in time for when that connection was made and you built that relationship. And then it continues to endure. Each of those women have a superpower. Each one of those powers resonates with me and reflects with a different aspect of myself. They know they reflect me in different dimensions. And I hope I'm doing the same for them, right? That mutual support, that partner, back to that intimacy and trust. Sandy and I were young professionals together and both became boy moms. We even gave birth to our baby sons in the same hospital room. She has been my friend since my 20s, and we continue to grow and change and learn. And recently, again, when my mom passed, she put her arm around me and held me while I cried and brought dinner for my family. That was such a safe space for me to be in. The trust and that intimacy that we built up over years and continue to foster and nourish. Part of nourishing and taking care of these relationships, especially those that you are invested in making a lifetime sister friendship, also is going to have not just mountaintop moments, but valleys. And there are going to be challenges and accountability and to be part of how you tend that relationship. And that can be really uncomfortable because even though these women are women with whom you feel most safe, like I said earlier, they know where the bodies are buried, proverbially. It is so hard when there's a rub. And I've had some practice in moving through some challenging situations with a handful, actually, of my sister friends in the recent past. In one particular one, my girlfriend Lori told me, and this Lori is labeled my ride or die. That's my ride or die. She and I are so much alike. Really, our souls just connect in such a special way. So the real estate she occupies in my heart, I don't even know. it feels like light, whatever that means to you. But she said something in a conversation a while back that I I didn't like it. I didn't like what she said. I didn't feel supported. I wanted her to agree, and she didn't. I expected her to agree about the topic, and she didn't. And so she really held, a mirror up for me and gave me some accountability in what I was talking to her about. The love was never in question. The friendship was never in question. But I had to take some space because I was feeling some kind of way about, I guess if I named it, was feeling unsupported or that she wasn't being empathic, uh, and it hurt my feelings. And so she sensed that space, but we never missed a beat. We never missed a beat. Even though I had to take some space, we had to address it later. But that is the commitment, right? She and I say we're married. Like, it's just how men say our husbands or spouses, it's cheaper to keep her, happy spouse, happy house. We just have made a commitment to one another a long time ago that this is it. We will make it through whatever highs and lows come for our relationship. And so I just needed to take a step back. And I think she recognized that. And then when I had processed my feelings, we just kept going, and she did a small acknowledgement of the space. And so we knew we were back on the same page. A couple other ones recently came up too, but what the theme is in having the challenges and those rubs that will inevitably come in your sister friendships is that we did not brush them under the rug. We gave them space to exist, and sometimes that was a short amount of time, and sometimes it was a longer amount of time. But what we did was put the feelings and our thoughts around it on the mat and didn't shy away from it. It's actually strengthened those relationships because now we have come through those little storms that every relationship has. My point is that in my particular experience, I am so, so very fortunate to have more sister friends than what I imagine would be like the average number. I am so blessed. I often say that they are representation or proof that good karma has found its way back to me. And I think as a general rule, a woman is very blessed if they have as many true friends as they can hold in their hand, because each relationship is like a garden. And this might be hokey because we've heard about this metaphor of relationship gardens, but I don't think one is more appropriate here. If friendship are like gardens that have to be tended regularly, then you have to be honest about what that requires. They need nourishment, right? They need food and water and fertilizer. That's that depth and intimacy piece that creates loyalty and trust because you're tending the garden, you're having interaction, you're spending time, you're investing resources. You continue to have high expectations for beautiful harvest, and that intimacy and vulnerability through storms, through weathers, through life challenges are all there and check the boxes around characteristics for sister friendship. So I would encourage you to just be thinking about your friendship gardens. And going back to this distance between me and my sister friends, I don't believe I've tended my friendship gardens very well. But I also know the bonds are so strong that I've made with these women that they have all extended me such grace and loving patience for me to go through the season that I have been going through in the last 4 years, which was critical. And each of them knows me so deeply that they knew that this was a something that I had to do for the sake of loving me and taking care of me and my family. And so they were fully supportive, fully supportive. As a matter of fact, with very few exceptions, most of them have come to visit me in our new state, and some have come repeatedly. Annette, I'm talking to you, and I think she's made it now like an annual visit trip, which I'm just completely stoked about. Annette is an amazing sister friends. I'm actually the godmother to her children, and we have done a lot of life together. So think about those gardens, those friendship gardens, and what does the sunshine look like in those friendship gardens? What does the soil? Is it cloddy, harsh, dry soil, or is it moist and full of nutrients and giving your garden lots of opportunity for growth, and the seeds that you're putting in are going to produce a loving harvest? Now that I know I'm kind of coming through this season, this ebb and then the flow is kind of coming back. Now that I'm moving through the particulars of my life, and coming through it in a different way, that I know I have a greater capacity around all kinds of personal resources, time, emotion, mental capacity, and space. And I can really now start tending the gardens in a better way than I have been in the last several years, because I've had to be so focused in my own life. And they've given me the love and support that I've needed through this season by being here in ways that are meaningful to me, giving me calls, sending cards. They all do amazing things, hosting me for weekends because Renee doesn't live very far from me now. And I have a desire in my heart to step forward and change the focus and be the friend that they need me to be now, because we've come through this season. So it's not about keeping the scales balanced as much as it's about staying present and meeting the moments of your friendships. And that means staying tuned in and, again, being consistent. One time I heard about marriages. I had someone tell me that a marriage is never 50-50. Some days you wake up and it's going to be a 60-40 kind of day. Some days you wake up and it's going to be like a 70-30 kind of a day. Some days of a marriage might even be like a 99-1. Ooh, those are hard days. And so I would equate that to sister friendship as well, because there's such a level of loyalty and commitment to that blessed relationship that sometimes an expectation of 50-50 is not reasonable. So some practical strategies that you can think about and I can think about as we continue to honor our sister friendships and be good sister friends to those amazing goddesses in our life is, again, tend your friendship garden by nurturing connections, by spending time, being intentional with sharing experiences, whether that's making a phone call date. I mean, COVID taught us how to get on and have a happy hour over Zoom. We still have that ability to do so. Also, weeding out toxic relationships and confronting the challenges, by providing support during tough times. Ask your friends what they need from you so that you can show up in a meaningful way. Be patient, honest, and open. No relationship that you feel that you belong in is going to come without the cost of vulnerability. If you are not vulnerable, then there's not an opportunity for that relationship to expand and grow and increase capacity so that you can live out your dream of sitting on the front porch in your rocking chairs, drinking your mimosas or your coffee, when you're old ladies. So planting seeds that are going to produce good harvests, tending the soil, making sure there's a lot of water and sunlight, giving that soil good fertilizer through attention and intention, weeding, and then pruning. Sometimes you got to have the hard conversations, and that's the pruning. And then you reap that amazing, beautiful harvest of that friendship garden that's rich and sweet and provides those blessings in life that really make it worth living. I want you to tell me a little bit about your sister friendships. Tell me about how you became friends. Tell me about why you love her. Tell me about how you continue to nurture the friendship garden so that those characteristics of depth and intimacy, loyalty and trust, face-to-face interactions, high expectations, and intimacy and vulnerability are tended in your relationship. Tell me about the funny stories and the stories that will make us all cry. Tell us about the longevity. Tell us about the fight you had that you cleared the air and mended fences and were able to deal with those storms in your relationships. Tell me how you weed and prune your relationship garden. I want to hear it. And so in the comments, write me, let me know about your sister friendships and how we can continue to learn about this amazing feminine phenomenon that makes our lives so much better. So now, if we weren't clear before, we're definitely clear on the fact that friendships among women is a vital component to a rich and fulfilling life. We know that our sister friends are treasures. Every relationship is a garden that needs tending. So I encourage you to take inventory of your sister friendships and then take action. What's your frequency and consistency around the elements of tending those relationship gardens? And what do you need to do? Get some actual steps and put them into place so that you can tell your sister friends just how much they mean to you while you still can. Also, some of you might be thinking, I don't really have friends. And to that, I would say, you need them. You need to make it a point to make good friends. Think about where you can begin planting seeds, where you need to maybe think about taking some risks and become vulnerable so that you can reach out and take the first step in fostering a new relationship that will bring value to your life. This sister friend topic is going to be an ongoing special segment here on the Maybe You Can Relate podcast. You all will have the great pleasure of meeting my sister friend tribe. You were introduced to a few of them today, and as we go through this amazing journey, I'll introduce you to them more closely and personally. And they don't know this, but now they will, that they will each be a guest here on the podcast. You'll know the history behind each of our friendships and the life-giving characteristics of each of those precious relationships. I'm so thrilled to introduce you to Lori, Laura, Renee, Annette, Sandy, Westy, Smitty, Deb, Inya, and Michelle, as well as some other amazing life-giving friends that are my family of choice. Thank you for being here with me on this first podcast as I step out into this new world. I would ask you to leave a comment, like, and share if this resonated for you and if you're looking forward to the next installment. Maybe you can relate.